You guys, the year hasn't even started and we already made changes. So I'm gonna go over those changes with you guys today, how we are planning out our homeschool, at least for the beginning weeks, and then yeah, I don't know, whatever the Lord prompts me to say, I guess, for the rest of it. Now, this is a collaboration hosted by myself and Devine over at Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. So lots of other moms are going to be sharing today how they're planning for their homeschool, and we all plan differently. So you can get a lot of information today on how to navigate the beginning of the homeschool if you're feeling a little lost, or you just want some support to know that maybe you're not the only one on the struggle bus, or that you're soaring and flying high and the rest of us might just be, I don't know, not doing that. So I'm going to link that down below in the description bar, so make sure that you're checking it out when you are done with this video. Now, I will fully admit, I feel like I'm on the struggle bus, and we're like just now starting. I have never had a homeschool year where I did not go into it fully prepared and, you know, have all my expectations and my goals laid out, and all of the unit studies that we're going to be doing already planned, especially when I'm supposed to be the one creating them. I know I promised those videos, but I have not sat down to do anything yet. I feel like this summer just kind of ran away with itself, and I don't know what happened to like May, June, and July. It's now like mid-August, and school is here, and we're all just supposed to be ready, and so I'm not ready. But we are starting, because one of the, I think, best pieces of advice that I took away from the homeschool convention this year is you do not have to be perfect to start. So while this year looks a lot different than our previous years, and I do not feel like I have gone into all of our curriculum as in-depth as I normally do, and I have a pretty good solid understanding of what all it's going to expect from my kids and from myself on a weekly basis, mainly because I changed so late in the game. We're starting, and so what our beginning of homeschool year plan is we're going to step into the year slowly. Now, this is what we usually do every year, but I don't think I've ever shown you guys or talked to you guys about how I do that. So that's what I want to go over in this video. And then as we kind of nail down what our weekly and daily schedule is gonna look like, then I'll go and share that with you guys. But I didn't want to like jump into like, this is gonna be our schedule, when it's like I don't even have a schedule. So the first week, which was our last week, because I had every intention of starting August 1st, and you guys, that did not happen. All right, so jumping into what our first month back at homeschooling is going to look like, and then once I go over that with you guys, then I'll talk about all of the changes and why I changed and who caused me to change. So our first week back was last week, and we started with the Bible, read alouds. We started watching World Watch News, which if you guys have not tried that out, I highly recommend it. My kids and I have really enjoyed it. I'll link them down below in case you haven't even heard of them and you want to see, but it's basically news from a Christian worldview. And I think they normally recommend your kids to be about 10 years old or older, but I have an almost 10-year-old and then a 7-year-old and then a 2-year-old that I'm currently homeschooling. My oldest is already graduated, but I feel like the ages that they are, sometimes things go over their heads, but sometimes we can also, we've gotten some really good conversations about different things, like what refugees are and what asylum means and things like that. So we've had some really great conversations, and they've gotten to learn things that don't normally come up in our regular curriculum. And then we started with math. And then this coming week, we are going to continue all of those things, but we are going to also work in history and Spanish. And then in the following week, so our third week back, we'll continue with all of those things and also work in language arts. And then our fourth week back, we will continue with all of those things and work in science and our co-op. And then by the fifth week, we should be in our groove, and we will also be working in whatever we're going to have for our morning basket for this year. And so that is what our step into homeschooling plan is going to look like. It's not going to be fast and furious. It's going to be slow, just so I can also have a chance to go through some of the curriculums I haven't had a chance to look at yet and see what all it's going to require of us and how to use it properly. Now, as far as our changes, you guys, I totally changed. Let's go over math first. So I changed our math, and I know I mentioned it, I think, in our end of year recap. I didn't hate the Good and the Beautiful math, but I also didn't love it. Now, I really enjoyed it for my kindergartner, and I feel like for her for first grade, it probably would have been perfect, and I still have the one that I purchased, so if this doesn't work out, then we'll just use that. However, for my now fifth grader, I didn't enjoy his math for fourth grade because there were some problems that they would give you very simple explanations for their instruction part, and then they would give the student complex problems, and it just didn't make sense to do it like that. If anything, you should give the complex example and then maybe a simple independent work. And then also their parent guide that gives you the answers did not walk you through how to solve the problem. It just gave you the answer. So I had an inkling at the homeschool convention to change to Math UC. Now, this is the math curriculum that has little blocks with it. I just forgot to grab them, but I thought that this would be really great because it's a mastery approach. So your child has to get really, really good at whatever the topic book is that they have. And then they also get to work with blocks so they can physically see how the math is moving and working together, just to understand it a little better. And my daughter is very hands-on, so I thought that this would be a great change for her specifically. So for her, she's going to be an alpha. She is 7 years old, basically like first grade. And so this one goes over single digit addition and subtraction. So she's going to get really, really good at addition and subtraction before she moves on. Now my son, he is going to be an epsilon. And so this one is all about fractions. So adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, like all the different ways that he can do fractions, he is going to master them in this book. And I really like that because then he just gets extra practice with fractions, and then every so often it will do a review. So he'll also get to work on his skills for addition and subtraction and multiplication and division outside of fractions, just to make sure that he's not forgetting anything and that we don't have to continue reviewing any one aspect. Or I know if we have to go back and review, say division problems, that it's time to pause this. So these curriculums, I forget how long. I want to say that the Math UC is about 30 lessons long, and each lesson takes about 1 week. But again, it's a mastery approach. So each lesson could take longer than a week, or it could take shorter than a week. Your child could grasp it within, a few days. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention about this is that they have a DVD that goes with each level. And so your child will watch the lesson from I forget his name, but basically it's teacher led. And so they'll watch the video and he'll walk them through how to complete that week's topic, and then they can go and do it on their own. I believe that they also say that you should watch it just so then you know how to teach it if you plan on going that route. But I really liked that aspect just because we're gonna have a brand new baby this year, and there might be times after she comes that it would be, simpler on my end to throw the DVD on for them, see if they can grasp it with him explaining how to do it, and then they go and work independently or with, needing minimal help from me, just because I'm going to have a whole nother set of needs and wants and a beautiful little blessing on my plate. As far as our next change, I can't even believe, you guys are probably gonna think I'm crazy. So I have shared our struggles with finding like the perfect language arts curriculum, if there is a perfect one. I believe I might have found it. I don't know. We'll see. But I have shared those struggles, and last year we were using The Good and the Beautiful. The year before we were using Masterbooks, and while there were bits and pieces that I enjoyed, nothing just felt right. And I didn't like the fluff that we got from The Good and the Beautiful. Like Masterbooks seemed like at times it was perfect for my son. He actually began enjoying writing with that one, and I probably should have kept it, but I felt like it wasn't quite challenging him in certain ways. And then The Good and the Beautiful, it just had so much geography in it that I just felt like I don't need this because I have a geography curriculum and it's just fluffy and I don't like it. I'm nothing if not honest, you guys. Now, when I went to the homeschool convention, you guys know I shared the review of doing the comparison between Common Sense Press, Learning Language Arts Through Literature, and My Father's World. And it was such a struggle to choose between those two. And I had finally said, you know what, we're going to use Learning Language Arts Through Literature. I think it'll challenge him in just the right ways, and then he'll also get book studies. And then I went to the homeschool convention, and I heard like 3 or 4 talks from Andrew Pudewa. And you guys, if you don't want to change your writing curriculum, don't listen to Andrew Pudewa talk. He is hilarious, he is brilliant, and he will guide you to changing to his curriculum. I was sitting there, and when I went to the homeschool convention, I wasn't even thinking about changing curriculums. And here I am with IEW. I don't know if I shared with you guys, but I've always been kind of hesitant with this curriculum. I was actually very scared from it because not this past year, but the year before, we had tried out classical conversations. Now, some of the main takeaways that I took from classical conversations, because they use this curriculum when they get to the essentials level, and everyone would say, oh, this is really great curriculum, they're going to become great writers, but the first year is the hardest, and it's really intense, and you have to write so much, and you want to cry, and you want to puke. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like a terrible curriculum. And so I was really just hesitant to use it. I did not want to even go down the IEW rabbit trail. I wanted to just not do that, because everyone that had anything to say about it, it was always like, oh yeah, once you get past that first year, it's great, but like you have to get through a year though. And if I'm on the struggle bus for a whole year, I don't think I'm gonna want to stick with it. And so yeah, here I am using IEW. But that's because the way that Andrew described it in all of his talks, and he wasn't trying to sell, he was just giving, talks on like teaching boys versus teaching girls, and teaching language arts from like preschool all the way through high school. And the way that he explained it and broke it down, and what his approach to teaching writing is, really just spoke to my heart and made me think like, this is exactly what I want. Like all of these things that you're saying, this is the type of writing curriculum that I want. Because he mentioned how it's so important to start with reading to your child, because when you read to them, then they can start to think about their feelings and their thoughts, and then that's when they learn to speak. And if they can do those two things, then they can put those things into writing. And so he talked about how important narration is, and how you should start with, narration after reading and then jump into writing. And so I really loved his whole view on how to approach writing, and just learning that IEW is great for struggling writers, but especially boys who are struggling writers. I feel like this is going to be really, really good for him. At least I'm hoping it will be really, really good for him. I also like the fact that he, just like Matthew C., there's going to be a video at the beginning of every lesson. Not every day, but at the beginning of the lesson, because the lessons will take about a week. And so I think this one is about 28 weeks long. So it's not, I could be wrong on that. I haven't like I said, I haven't gone through this in depth yet, so I'm not even like prepared to do any type of review or flip through or anything. But it's not very long, and it's a mastery approach. So you're going to be working on something until your child gets it. And I love that I can just meet them where they're at. And if we need to take longer, then we take longer. And if we can speed through it, then we can speed through it. But I love that there's also the video at the beginning. So then if I'm, again, out of capacity for a little bit, then we don't have to sacrifice his learning. And this is something that my husband can watch the video too and do it with them. So I love the way that it's set up. And I would also like to mention opening this box for this curriculum. I mean, you guys, I did not buy this binder. This came with the curriculum. It is like opening luxury. So I just wanted to mention that because I was very impressed with opening the kit and just seeing how nicely everything is presented. Plus they have excellent customer service. I completely forgot that they offered a military discount because we're a military family, and I happened to be talking to one of their customer service agents a few weeks after I purchased this, and I asked them like, hey, because I was going to make another purchase. That's another story. And I was like, hey, do you happen to offer a discount for this? And they were like, yeah, we can actually apply it to your purchase a few weeks ago. So their customer service is top notch, you guys. Like, I will stay just for the customer service if this curriculum is like amazing for my son. Now, you guys will be seeing my unboxing next week of All About Reading. At least I think it's next week. And so when I changed my son, I also decided to change my daughter. So I am doing the primary arts of language writing curriculum for her. This pairs with All About Spelling. So it's like God was putting me on this path all along to use IEW, you guys. So this is actually perfect. And then something that I was not even on my radar, but you guys, you can't listen to Andrew Pudewa speak and not want to work in poetry to your curriculum. It's like a sickness. And if he has so many videos on YouTube, if I can find some of the ones that I listened to at the conference, I will link them down below in the description bar. They are wonderful to hear how he approaches learning with kids. But I bought the poetry memorization curriculum for my kids. Now, this one, you guys, look, just like how I mentioned, it's like opening luxury. Look at how nice this parent guide is. I know it's like not anything crazy, but they pair it with this like leather bound kit for the poetry DVDs. Isn't that nice? So it doesn't take a lot to win me over. So yeah, we're going to be working in poetry. I'm not going to follow this the way that they suggest because I think it's like a daily thing and I'm just not doing that. I'm going to work it into our morning basket. So yeah, that's going to be my plan. Probably like once a week or once every other week, depending on how I approach our morning basket this year. So that is the last curriculum change that I made. I still can't believe I changed. It's kind of crazy. Let me know down below, have you made any changes? I would love to hear that I'm not the only one. And then that's also how we are going to be stepping into the homeschool year. That is our plan for hopefully finding some rhythms and routines. Once we have stepped into like our full groove and I have established whatever our homeschool schedule is going to be, I will share that in a video later on. So if you want to see that kind of thing, then make sure that you hit the notification bell and the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm really excited to actually use this stuff, even though I was extremely hesitant to ever even try it. The puking and the stress that people mentioned really turned me off, but I'm really excited. I think that this is going to be great, and I think that even if you've heard people say, you know, that a curriculum is so stressful and so scary and you should stay away from it, you should really just research it for yourself and see, and maybe even go to, you know, the publisher and see if they have any talks on it or flip throughs and things like that, because I was seriously so afraid to even look at IEW just from what everyone would say, but it doesn't sound that bad. So look at things for yourself instead of letting people, steer you in a direction that you may end up just circling right back to that very curriculum. You never know. I hope that this was helpful just to see how we're stepping into the year and what changes we've made, and that we've actually made changes, just so if you have too, you're not the only one. Another thing that I want to mention to you guys, this year is going to be so crazy for us. We are adding a new baby. My husband is finishing up a college degree. He's going to be retiring. We're going to be moving. And so this year, just starting it off is already feeling stressful to some degree. And I recently saw a thing online that said, if God is giving you changes during this year, then he's also going to give you blessings and ways to handle it throughout the year. He's going to give you peace to pick up during the hard moments and the stressful moments and all of the changes. So you have the opportunity to either pick up the peace or you can pick up the overwhelm. So maybe you have a lot of changes like us too. Maybe you just have a lot going on and you have the opportunity to pick up the overwhelm or the peace. This is your reminder to pick up the peace. Find your peace in the Lord before your homeschool year starts, before things get into the thick of it with co-ops and friends and meeting up with people and planning all the things. Lay your stresses down, take a breather, and pick up the peace. Don't forget to check out the playlist. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you again later. Bye.